Welcome back everyone to the Bucks County Conservation District's Backyard Vegetable Gardening web series. Last week we talked about the importance of soil and the ways you can protect it within your own backyard. Today's video is going to focus on food insecurity, specifically within Bucks County. Being food insecure is characterized by minimal, fresh, healthy food options due to low income or low access. There are three important parts of this definition. The first is fresh and healthy food options. This means that a person is considered food insecure if the only food options available to them are from things like convenience stores and fast food restaurants, as opposed to supermarkets and grocery stores with fresh, healthy options. The second is low income, where you simply can't afford to buy enough food or can't afford to buy the healthier food option. And lastly is low access, which could be the distance to the nearest supermarket, not owning a car, no available public transportation, or a combination of all three. Someone that is considered food insecure could be struggling with any three of these categories, whether there aren't fresh and healthy options, they don't have the income to purchase those foods, or they don't have access to those foods, or they could be struggling with all three at once. The last component that is important to consider within food insecurity is consistency. If during certain times of year someone can't access a grocery store as easily, or doesn't have as much income as usual, but they don't struggle with these things normally, then they can still be considered food insecure. In order to be completely food secure, you need to have fresh, healthy food options available all year round, which you can easily access and afford to purchase. Establishing this definition of food insecurity is so important because it gives us multiple angles to approach the solution. Now, let's look at food insecurity within Bucks County. Feeding America conducts an annual food insecurity study called Map the Meal Gap, where you can look at statistics in counties across America. In 2018, they found that 7.1% of people in Bucks County struggled with food insecurity. This means that 44,320 people in our county are considered food insecure. Thankfully, these rates have been decreasing since data was first taken in 2016. And when we compare Bucks County to the entire United States, we actually have a lower rate of food insecurity, as the national average is 11.5%. Although compared to the rest of the country, we have lower rates of food insecurity, it is so important that we help those in our community who are currently struggling with it. And it is even more imperative that we help the children that are facing food insecurity. Rates of food insecurity tend to be higher among children, with the national average being 15.2% and 9.4% in Bucks County specifically. This means there are 12,290 children currently struggling with food insecurity within our county. The effects of malnutrition are so much more severe in children since they are going through such important physical and mental development. The effects of hunger at a young age can cause long-term issues which can prove to be irreversible. Because of this, it is so important to target hunger at a young age by helping these families have more access to healthy food options and fighting poverty so that they can afford these healthy foods. For people who are food insecure, making a garden can be a cheap, easy, and accessible way to grow your own food. You can easily garden using minimal tools and supplies by simply buying cheap seed packets, planting them directly into the ground, and only watering and fertilizing when completely necessary. As long as you have the right area and the right seeds for your climate and your needs, you can have a thriving garden filled with plenty of fruits and vegetables to feed you and your family. If land or space is an issue, you could also look into container gardening or getting a plot at your local community garden. Gardening is a great way to create your own food source in your own backyard, having a consistent supply of food throughout the growing season. There are some things to keep in mind if you are food insecure and thinking of starting your own backyard garden. The first is to select plants that are calorie and nutrient dense to get the most bang for your buck. Things like nuts, potatoes, and beans will be extremely filling, and things like broccoli, kale, and carrots are going to be packed with a variety of important nutrients. You may also want to pick things that are fast growing so that you can eat them soon after planting. Most greens are extremely quick growers, things like spinach, arugula, kale, and lettuce. And also things like cucumbers, squash, and bush beans are really great fast growing vegetables. Lastly, you want to grow things that you can preserve easily so that you have consistent food supply even during the off season. There are so many amazing preservation methods, things like pickling, jarring, and even just freezing. Root vegetables are probably the easiest to store long term because you can just put things like potatoes, carrots, onions, and other root veggies in a cool, dry, and dark place where they can stay good for a really long time. Gardening doesn't have to be a time and money intensive hobby. It can just be an easy way to create a reliable food source in your own backyard. We can come together as a community to help fight against food insecurity through donating to food pantries and food drives and volunteering at food banks and soup kitchens. BucksCountyAlive.com has a map of food pantries, soup kitchens, and food banks in Bucks County and surrounding areas. It's a really great resource to find help if you are food insecure, or to find places you can volunteer at or donate to help. You can also support the incomes of people in your community who may be struggling with food insecurity by supporting their small businesses, especially during times like these where many of them may be struggling. Lastly, you can also help by reducing your own food waste. For those of us who are not food insecure, it can be so easy to let our produce rot away on our counters every week. So much food goes to waste annually on our farms, in our grocery stores, and in our own homes. This is not only a waste of the energy, labor, and resources it took to grow and transport that food, it's also a tragedy when you think about the nearly 45,000 people in our county that are struggling to get access to healthy foods such as those. There are so many small changes you can make in your daily life to help prevent your food waste, such as buying the less visually attractive fruits and vegetables at the grocery store, planning out your meals so you only buy what you need, and trying out new preservation methods to help save food that is nearly bad. Food insecurity is something that is felt in every community in America, and sadly, Bucks County is no exception. Change can be made on every level, from individual households to federal food policy. By acknowledging the problem that exists in our community and making efforts to help our neighbors who are struggling, we can work towards a future where we all have access and availability to these fresh, healthy foods. I hope you learned more about the people in your community who may be struggling with food insecurity, and that you find the motivation to donate your time, money, energy, or food to this cause. And if you are food insecure, I hope that you found a new resource that can help you and your family, or you feel inspired to start your own backyard vegetable garden where you can grow your own healthy food. Next week, we're going to look at another way we can help our community by supporting local agriculture. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.